What's up? It's your boy, Sad Nixon, and it's time to nerd. We got a new tournament coming, and I've done some interesting things to prepare for it. In particular, to prepare for my tradition of predicting the win rates for each of the teams throughout the tourney with my special Monte Carlo simulator. Uh, and the thing that I've done this time is I've created Glicko ratings for each tourney player that has ever played in a tourney before. And how I've done this is I've based the ratings entirely off of their tourney gameplay. So it's not based at all on how they've done outside of tourneys. It's only based on how they've done within tourneys. And this counts, basically across accounts. I'm trying to treat the players as individuals, not as accounts. So, if someone played on one account one time and another account another time, those count as the same person because they are the same person. And yeah, it's just a way that I invented to kind of get around the fact that we initially thought that the ELO reset was going to happen before a tournament. That obviously did not happen. ELO did not fully reset back to 1600 like we thought it might have happened. But I think the system will still be useful for doing my calculations. So it's a big block of code here, but basically what it does is it starts everyone out at 1500 R and 350 RD. Now in the Glicko rating scale, it's a little bit different than ELO because not only do you have a rating number, which is R, but you also have an RD. And RD is basically a measure of how sure Glicko is that you are the rating that you are at. So if you play more games, then that RD is going to go down as it becomes more sure that your Glicko is approaching its proper value. But also, if you don't play for a while, your RD is just going to go up because it's becoming more unsure again as time is passing. So that is all encapsulated within this code. There's lots of really cool math behind this that you can look up. I'm also going to link some papers in the description that I used to inform this and basically adapt Glicko to the game of Secret Hitler. Glicko is normally for one-on-one games, obviously, but some people have done some research into how it works out with team games online, very similar to Secret Hitler. And the method that I've done is basically each game that happens, I'm measuring each person's individual score against the composite score of the opponent, like the average score of the opponent. But that's a whole, super nerdy subject, so I'm not going to go too far into that. What I am going to go into is what I found. And after I did all these calculations for all the different players, and mind you, I had to do a lot of work for this. I literally had to watch every video um, that Star made of the third tourney because the replays for those games don't exist anymore. But once I had done that, I was able to get this. And this is the beautiful result. Uh, this is a spreadsheet that shows not only the current Glicko ratings of all the players who have ever played in an SH tourney, but also how those ratings have progressed over time after each tourney. So, over here in this column, you'll see T5R. That means after tourney 5, this was the R. And then T5RD, that's the, rating deviance. That shows how far away these ratings might potentially be from their proper values. But in any case, Ulk is at the top. And that might be a little unexpected. People don't think of Ulk as like the greatest SH player of all time. I'm sure he's good, but not the greatest of all time. But his tourney record is really good, to say the least. It's really good. I don't think he's lost a game. But would that continue? Would that pattern continue through 20 games if you were to play 20 games in tourney? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But the fact remains that he is up there, although his RD is pretty big right now, which indicates that the rating scale is obviously not very sure that he is that rating. Going down from there, we have Chopin, Pingu, Love Oaken, and Dure Sage, 007 Bunny, Dev P, Fat Midget, Rando, Hardy. Some interesting names here, some that you would definitely expect, like Pingu and 007 Bunny, and some that you might not. That's just how the Glicko scale goes. This is a small sample size. Players have not played that many games in Tourney, regardless of who they are. But I still think this does give us some indication. And the fact that Glicko has the RD number really helps out because that is factored into the calculations. And, the Glicko scale kind of understands that it's not sure about itself in those cases. But yeah, some of these players are definitely available to draft in this tourney, which is great. Love to see that. Those players are Chopin, Pingu, 007 Bunny, Fat Midget, Rimatu, who is going by Mochi, Ambition, Secret Paz, and Tyrox. And all those players have a T5 R of over 1700, which is really good considering they started at 1500. And so, yeah, all solid players. The rest of these players, a lot of them haven't played in a while or haven't played in Tourney for a while. That's too bad, but maybe they'll come back someday, and this will be useful for calculating their odds of winning games. Now, I also thought it was interesting to limit the RD, the T5 RD, to just below 200 because that gives us a better idea of who the Glicko scale is really sure about in terms of their skill level. So if we do that, then we get these results. And now we start to see, I think, a little bit more conventional results in terms of who people think of as really good. Pingu at the top, that's no surprise. Fat Midget, Rimatu, Paz, Sale, Tyrox, Ryan Lockwood, Medusa, Ingenue, Rivstar, Daddy Riddler, the Gestapo, Sharon Gone. Yeah, these are like really good players, top of the line players for sure. A lot of them are draftable in this tourney. In fact, I think all the ones that I just named are draftable in this tourney. And Sidewalk Hill and Saxton and Just Next Lib also draftable. So, keep a lookout for them. They might continue their pattern of playing really well and performing really well in tourney. These are kind of the top players that we're most sure about, as top players. So yeah, interesting stuff, I think, there. I'll be using this data to inform my calculations when I calculate the odds of one team beating another team in the tourney. The RD, I think, will be very useful for that because, when I have new players that I'm going to add into this, and there's definitely new players that are new to this tourney, they just get to get assigned a RD of 350, which is maximum RD, which means it's really not very sure about how much skill they have, which is, an assumption that we should make, that we're not sure. And, that will factor in, I think, pretty well. Now, it would also be interesting to look at the worst tourney players, wouldn't it? So just take a little look at that. And there's some interesting results. And I think this kind of speaks to, how small the sample size is in tourney. Because even though these players, the RD is pretty low, so it's pretty sure that they're at the skill level, it's still just over such a small period of games. The RNG could be bad. And, I don't think that players like Mello, Orami, Anoki, Newt, these are not bad players. I think that they have been unlucky. And, maybe they've been placed in some really high elo games because they're really good players and it just hasn't quite worked out. Brain Sturgeon, not a bad player. Geo, not a bad player. I'm on this list. I might be a bad player, but I also might not be. It's a debate that you can have, but I think that, just because you're at the bottom here, it doesn't mean that you're bad. You just not had good luck in tourney. And, this will be used to calculate things, but obviously, it's just for estimating purposes. The main thing that factors into my odds calculations is just stuff like how many games are left and what kind of games they are and how many games each player, has left to play. That kind of stuff, I think, matters more than the Glicko ratings that I'm using to inform this stuff. But yeah, I'm going to release all this data, in spreadsheet form. There'll be a link to it in the description, as well as links to the papers that I mentioned earlier. I'm also going to link to the SH Global sheet because there's some interesting stuff on this that was created based on my endeavor to rank everyone in Glicko ratings. There's this new panel here, basically, where it shows in each game, in every tourney that ever happened, who won and who was on each team, liberals or fascists. And, this info is out there, but it wasn't really compiled in this way publicly that I could find. So, yeah, I just did it. So you can definitely look through this and have some fun seeing who got matched up against who over the years. Yeah, so this will be in the description too. Anyways, hopefully it'll be a good time this tourney and we'll get some good new data for my spreadsheets. I will see you later. Bye, everyone.